Hey there, Jenn Dize here with an update for you on the Tara Reade story and allegations against Joe Biden. As you know by now, Tara Reade has accused Joe Biden of sexual harassment and sexual assault. In a recent interview with Katie Halper, she expanded upon her original sexual harassment claims to include assault where Joe Biden allegedly put her up against a wall and penetrated her with his fingers. So it has taken mainstream media quite a while to start reporting on this story. Today, the New York Times did. Let's take a look at what they came out with. Okay, again, this is New York Times examining Tara Reade's sexual assault allegation against Joe Biden. So you might think, okay, good. Finally, the mainstream media, like the New York Times, is reporting on this story. I'm not going to read this story to you. I think you can kind of assume and read for yourself what the gist of the story is. Let's just say it's not written in a way that they would have written about any other candidate for the presidency who had been accused of sexual assault or sexual harassment. Let's say this exact same scenario was playing out against Donald Trump. This article wouldn't have been written this way. Let's say there was an allegation against Bernie Sanders. You can bet for sure this article wouldn't have been written this way. And by written this way, what I mean is written in a way that basically tries to, without saying they don't believe her, saying it, if that makes any sense. Without directly saying, we don't believe Tara and we're trying to frame a piece that doesn't make her seem credible. That's exactly what they're doing. They're trying to make it seem like her allegations are not credible. We talked about this with Alyssa Milano. All of these #MeToo supporters are now all of a sudden, if they're in support of Joe Biden, they're all of a sudden not believing in the woman who has come forward. They're not believing in Tara Reade. And Alyssa Milano has said as much, that she doesn't believe her. Not in those direct words, not in that direct term, but that's the gist of it. And you have to assume that it's because it's Joe Biden, because it's not Bernie Sanders, because it's not Donald Trump, who, by the way, is a disgusting, terrible, alleged rapist himself, Donald Trump. Bernie Sanders, of course, has no such allegation against him because that's not the type of person that he is. This article, not only is it written in a way to sort of disprove Tara Reade without actually saying so, it is partially written by Sidney Ember. Sidney Ember is there's no other way to say it, an anti-Bernie Sanders writer. I mean, that's her claim to fame, is being an anti-Bernie Sanders journalist. And there's actually an article that Katie Halper, speaking of Katie Halper, came out with, I think this was in 2019. I don't see the date here. But anyway, this is in Jacobin. Meet Sidney Ember, the New York Times senior anti-Bernie correspondent, by Katie Halper. Big surprise. The New York Times reporter covering Bernie Sanders has a long record of unfairly attacking Sanders while neglecting to mention that the sources she quotes are corporate lobbyists. So that, among other things, is the problem with Sidney Ember. And what does that have to do with a story against Joe Biden? Well, it's because she's a corporate person. She's a corporatist, mainstream journalist who is obviously, let's just say, in the bag for Joe Biden. It's in her best interest to not write a piece against Joe Biden, to not believe the woman who's coming forward. Now, as you go through this New York Times piece, and I encourage you to do so for sure, you'll notice that they do give Tara Reade her side of the story, but it's buried way down. For a story about Tara Reade, you would think you would sort of lead with her story, right? That's not what they did here. Let's actually go look at it and see just how far down this is. So they go through the allegations and talk about just very briefly what they are. And then they immediately go into a spokeswoman for Mr. Biden saying the allegations are false. They go into the fact that other women have come forward against Joe Biden, accusing him of kissing, hugging, or touching them in ways that made them feel uncomfortable. They do talk about the Katie Halper interview and all of that. They talk about Joe Biden acknowledging the other women's complaints. They talk about the new allegation. So here we go. We're halfway down. Here we finally have Tara Reade's account of what happened, which is very, very disturbing. Then they go into differing recollections, where they proceed to try to discredit Tara Reade pretty much altogether. They bring up the fact that she had praised Putin in the past, that she had retweeted Joe Biden in the past, all of which are fair questions, fair things to bring up, but in the end have nothing to do with this allegation. Now, the story itself, and I was going to just report on the story itself, but then something happened. Then the New York Times decided to start deleting a tweet and changing a line in their story. Let's see what they changed, shall we? This will be fun. And by fun, I mean not fun. So here we have the New York Times was tweeting up a storm about this story, getting it shared everywhere. But then you go down here, and this was about an hour ago. We've deleted a tweet in this thread that had some imprecise language that has been changed in the story. So as you can see, they were majorly ratioed. They only have 118 retweets on this and almost 2,000 reply tweets on what they have done here. Let's take a look at the tweet they've deleted, okay? Because this is disgusting of them. Really, just honestly disgusting. This is the tweet they deleted. Ford Fisher, another independent journalist of News to Share, tweeted this out. This is the tweet. No other allegation about sexual assault surfaced in the course of our reporting, nor did any former Biden staff corroborate Reade's allegations. We found no pattern of sexual misconduct by Biden beyond hugs, kisses, and touching that women previously said made them uncomfortable. Okay, so let's pretend this tweet were still up. This is problematic all on its own. We found no pattern of sexual misconduct by Biden beyond hugs, kisses, and touching that women previously said made them uncomfortable. Well, isn't that a pattern of sexual misconduct by Biden? Yes, it is. Also, there's nothing to say that there are other women who just haven't come forward yet. So you can't find a pattern if other women simply have not come forward yet, because it is one of the most challenging things for any woman to do, is to come forward against a very powerful person, against a very powerful man, especially one who the Democratic establishment, the corporatists, desperately want to be president. So there are so many things wrong here. Them saying that they found no pattern of sexual misconduct. Well, there is, because 7 women came forward against him of sexual misconduct beyond hugs, kisses, and touching that women previously said made them uncomfortable. That's a pattern. We see it on video as well. It's a pattern. Now, there are no other allegations such as Tara Reade's with the alleged incident where she was put up against a wall and penetrated. But the other allegations do matter, and they are out there. So, yeah, the New York Times then said, okay, the New York Times then deleted this tweet because of imprecise language. So, someone named Murda said, you changed the wrong part of the sentence. So here's what they changed in the story itself. No other allegation about sexual assault surfaced in the course of reporting, nor did any former Biden staff members corroborate any details of Ms. Reade's allegation. The Times found no pattern of sexual misconduct by Mr. Biden beyond the hugs, kisses, and touching that women previously said made them uncomfortable. So here's what it is now. Here's what the story has been changed to. No other allegation about sexual assault surfaced in the course of reporting, nor did any former Biden staff members corroborate any details of Ms. Reade's allegation. The Times found no pattern of sexual misconduct by Mr. Biden. Full stop. Wow. So, just like Murda has said, you changed the wrong part of the sentence. They ended with, the Times found no pattern of sexual misconduct by Mr. Biden. They completely took out the part that said beyond the hugs, kisses, and touching that women previously said made them uncomfortable. What kind of reporting is this? That part was taken out, the part highlighted in blue. What kind of journalism is this? The answer is it's not journalism. The answer is they felt like they had to report this because everyone's talking about it, but they had to do so in a way that wouldn't make their corporatist overlords upset. They had to report this in a way that made it okay for Joe Biden to still continue on with his campaign. This isn't real journalism. You can pick apart this article and see where they took real journalistic scrutiny and manipulated it into being exactly the kind of piece they wanted, which is not journalism. This is disgusting. These allegations against Joe Biden, and I do mean allegations plural, are disgusting. That is multiple allegations of sexual harassment and one allegation of sexual assault by Tara Reade. This deserves better. This deserves not Sidney Ember to be the one on the story who has a clear mission. The New York Times, in deleting that part of the story, it is stomach turning. Absolutely disgusting. What do you have to say for yourself, New York Times? I know you don't care, but we care.